Admiral Zexathara had commanded fleets across 17 star systems. She had witnessed the subjugation of the crystalline Vorthak, overseen the systematic dismantling of the hegemony's outer colonies, and personally delivered the surrender terms to 3 different species. The Galactic Dominion's expansion had been methodical, unstoppable, and utterly predictable, until they reached the 3rd planet orbiting an unremarkable yellow star. The initial reconnaissance had been routine. The inhabitants, calling themselves humans, possessed primitive chemical rockets and had barely managed to establish a few orbital stations. Their weapons were crude projectile launchers and early energy systems. By every metric the Dominion used, Earth should have capitulated within hours of the Armada's arrival. But the humans had done something unprecedented. Instead of immediately surrendering or launching a futile counterattack, they had transmitted a single message. Please review the attached cultural archives before proceeding. Zexthara's tactical officer, a methodical Caraxian named Velt, had initially dismissed it as a desperate stalling tactic. Admiral, shall we proceed with standard pacification protocols? Wait, Zexathara had replied, something in the human's calm tone giving her pause. Let's see what they're so eager to show us. The first clip began innocuously enough. Grainy black and white footage of humans in primitive aircraft engaging in aerial combat over blue oceans. The tactical displays were crude, the weapons laughably inefficient. Several of the bridge crew chuckled at the sight of fabric-winged machines firing solid projectiles at each other. Then came the context. The humans called it World War II. The footage showed a species that had divided itself into factions and proceeded to fight with an intensity that defied rational explanation. They threw themselves into frozen wastelands, stormed fortified beaches under withering fire, and fought street by street through burning cities. When their weapons failed, they used their fists. When their vehicles broke down, they carried their wounded on their backs. Curious, murmured Dr. Quayleth, the fleet's xenopsychologist. They appear to be fighting their own species with greater ferocity than most civilizations show toward external threats. The clips continued. Humans at a place called Thermopylae, 300 warriors holding back an army of thousands until they were overwhelmed. Roman legions marching in perfect formation as barbarians hurled themselves against their shields. Knights in metal armor charging toward certain death because their code demanded it. This is their history, Zexathara realized aloud. They're showing us how they fight. The footage shifted to more recent conflicts. Humans in jungle warfare adapting to every environment, learning from every defeat. Urban combat where they cleared buildings room by room, never yielding ground without exacting a terrible price. Then came the space battles, primitive by Dominion standards but revealing in their tactical adaptations. One clip showed human defenders on a mining station, cut off from reinforcements fighting with improvised weapons and salvaged equipment. They held for 6 months against a robotic invasion force, turning mining tools into weapons and life support systems into booby traps. When the station's reactor was damaged, they manually operated the cooling systems in lethal radiation, taking shifts until their bodies failed, passing the duty to the next volunteer. By the 7 moons, whispered Communications Officer Threx. They're not just showing us battles. They're showing us how they die. The final series of clips focused on something the humans called asymmetric warfare. Small groups using intelligence, creativity, and absolute determination to defeat vastly superior forces. Zexthara watched humans in a place called Afghanistan fight off 3 different empires across centuries, using the same mountains, the same tactics of patience and intimate knowledge of terrain. Then came the part that made Zexthara's blood chill. The humans showed their space combat simulations, scenarios where Earth was invaded by technologically superior forces. The tactical responses were unsettling. They didn't plan to meet the enemy in honorable fleet combat. They planned to make every orbital station a fortress, every asteroid mining facility a missile platform, every civilian transport a potential suicide bomber. They showed plans for fighting in the debris fields of their own destroyed fleets, tactics for boarding actions using nothing but spacesuits and cutting tools, strategies for turning their own industrial capacity into weapons manufacturing, even under orbital bombardment. Admiral, Velt said quietly, they're not showing us this to intimidate us. No, Zexthara agreed, understanding dawning. They're showing us this so we understand the cost. The transmission concluded with a simple message from Earth. We are not a warlike species by choice, Admiral. We simply lack the option of being anything else. Our planet has no unified government, because we've spent our entire evolutionary history fighting each other for resources. We've learned to fight in every environment, against every disadvantage, with every weapon from stones to starships. We don't know how to surrender. Our language has the word, but our instincts don't comprehend the concept. This is what we are. This is what we've always been. The choice of how to proceed is yours. Sexithera stared at the tactical displays showing Earth's orbital defenses. Primitive, yes, but arranged with the kind of defensive depth that spoke of species-wide paranoia, refined over millennia. Every satellite was positioned to provide overlapping fields of fire. Every space station was built like a fortress. Every civilian habitat had been designed with combat in mind. They're not threatening us, she said finally. They're warning us. She thought of the Dominion's standard pacification doctrine. Orbital bombardment of major cities until surrender. The humans' response would likely be to disperse their population and continue fighting from underground installations, using the rubble of their cities as defensive positions. The war would last decades, cost millions of Dominion lives, and even victory would leave them occupying a planet full of humans who viewed guerrilla warfare as a natural state of existence. Communications, Sexithera ordered. Open a channel to the Dominion High Command. Request permission to begin formal diplomatic negotiations with the Earth government. Admiral. Velt's confusion was evident. Velt, in all our conquests, how many species have shown us detailed analyses of their own weaknesses? None, Admiral. Because they were trying to hide their capabilities. The humans just gave us a comprehensive guide to exactly how they fight, what they're capable of, and why conquest would be expensive. She paused, watching Earth turn slowly on the main display. They're not showing us this because they think they can win. Velt, they're showing us this because they want us to choose not to fight. The communication from Earth came through as the fleet prepared to withdraw to a safe distance for negotiations. Admiral, we've prepared quarters for your diplomatic team on Luna Station. We thought you might like to tour our museums while you're here. We have extensive exhibits on military history. Sexithera almost smiled. Almost. Helm, set course for Luna Station. And Velt? Yes, Admiral? Cancel the invasion fleet. I have a feeling we're going to need those ships somewhere else. As the Armada moved into a diplomatic formation, Sexithera reflected on the humans' strategy. They had turned their entire violent history into a negotiating position, their greatest weakness into their strongest deterrent. They had looked at an overwhelmingly superior force and essentially said, "We can't win, but we can make sure you lose too." It was, she had to admit, brilliantly human.